I thank you so much for inviting me today, Mel and the team, and to Big Moose for having us here. Really appreciate it, loving what you're doing, 100% behind you. I'm going to apologise first off. I know this is exactly what you told me what to do, but this is not my, yeah, I'm not a professional at this, so please bear with me. But but let's go. So yeah, today we're talking about intention, obviously all the other chapters, nearly 300. Numbers is not my strong point. There's about 288 other chapters around the world. 182. Is it? Yeah. Talking about intention as well around the world, and as you all know, we all kind of take the theme of the month and sort of spin it however which way we want, creatively, hopefully. So yeah, let's talk about intentions. So early doors, when I started to think about this theme, I kind of was just sitting and I was meant to be working on something else at the time, and I just thought to myself, right, what are my intentions then? And I thought, I'll just write a list. And I started writing my list, and geez, it didn't stop. And I just thought, oh my God, I've got loads of intentions. And I kind of, this was kind of some of my list. But to be honest, I think I could have carried on going, and then I just thought I was procrastinating and I should probably just get on with my work. So I did. But I think it kind of, when I started to write them down, it represents really just how many there is, how much room it takes in my head, and actually it's a bit of a mess. So so yeah, we are also really interested in hearing your intentions, and as Mel said, we'd love to hear your best intentions, or worst if you like, whatever you fancy. And we'll choose obviously our favourite. I know that seems a bit subjective, but you know. And then we'll give away our print, as we said. So just carry on doing that throughout the talk. No worries. Look at your phone all you like. That's absolutely fine with me. So yeah, then it kind of, when I started thinking about my intentions, it got me thinking about chatting to Mel and stuff. Intentions sort of versus real life, really. Again, I'm not an illustrator, you can probably see that, but hopefully you can read some of it at least. Yeah, so it kind of got me thinking about real life and intentions sort of versus our needs really, and like the reality of life away from intentions. And it made me think about this, which is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I've got literally my mate here from work who has a PhD in psychology, so I am not, again, I'm not at a good place to talk about this, but I know roughly what it's about, and it's something that I've come back to throughout my life, over and over really, and it kind of just makes sense for me, so I thought I'd share it today. So as you can see, and I'm sure loads of you, if not all of you, are familiar with it already, but it's kind of just the idea behind it is that sort of unless your kind of very basic needs are met, then you kind of can't move up the triangles, and sort of the aim is to be fulfilled, a happy person, I guess. And I just think it's really funny that the fact is being creative is right at the top of that. So basically every single day from 9 to 5, most of us have to be at the very peak of our well-being, which is probably a little bit unrealistic, but we endeavour to be there all the same. So yeah, hopefully I am qualified though to speak about my life a little bit. Let's hope I can remember my name. But yeah, so just quickly, I grew up in a small place called Langham in the Main, in Pembrokeshire, which is a really lovely, beautiful place full of hippies and and a pretty lawless place, really. You're kind of free to do whatever you like. There's not many police down there. It's great fun, and very beautiful. And I was down there, and it came to sort of time to go off to university, and I was looking through the list, and I was a little bit naive maybe, and I just thought, I'll just go to the biggest university I can find with the most people in, and then I'll meet loads of people and I'll make loads of connections and it'll be brilliant. So I found the biggest one, and that was actually Middlesex University, and my campus was in Tottenham. So I went off to London and realised actually it wasn't quite as simple an equation as that. I've written here in capitals, nobody talks to each other in London, but I'm sure that's an exaggeration. It's just a little bit more difficult to make friends, I would say, as a little skinny Welsh girl probably anyway. But it was a really good experience nonetheless, and I learnt tons, and obviously I saw a completely different culture and different way of life, and it was brilliant. And thankfully my best mate came as well. She was the other side of London, so I was just like, what is this, Bex? And she was like, I know, it's mental. But yeah, so it was good. So yeah, I left university and ended up down south actually, and the idea of running a business did appeal to me a bit, namely sort of being your own boss. So I was working in a pub just after uni, you know, and you're a bit like, oh God, what now? So we bought this ongoing business, myself and a mate. It was just an idea really, and we were like, should we do it? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And we bought this little sandwich company in Eastbourne, and it came with this little Subaru Sumo van, which was absolutely by far the coolest thing about that business, for sure. We just like bomb around town. We got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, we used to make sandwiches and then just bomb around Eastbourne, delivering them to all our sort of regulars who worked in offices. They would like window makers. There was so many different businesses all sort of hidden away. You know, in a town you don't hardly know they're there sometimes unless you're doing something like this. I got to know loads of people. It was a really good experience actually. So I got a bit of a glimpse, and even though it was a real sort of small endeavour, I did get a bit of an idea of what it is to sort of run a business and what's involved and all the sort of tax side and all that sort of stuff. And then I went on, and you know, I've had quite a few roles getting on, but I've a few that stand out for me, I suppose, were these two really. I worked at 5 Some Steps and with Mark at Bolton Design, which was a design agency based in Penarth, and I kind of mentioned them because Mark and Emma were incredible employers in the sense they were very good managers. They were very open, they were very generous with their time, and they kind of valued what you did as a creative, and they were very encouraging. But also, I think mainly because it was a very small team, and they sort of let me help them run their business, and it just felt like a privilege really at the time, and I learnt loads. And around that time I kind of went off to do lectures, which I know a couple of you did lately, and it's a really inspiring thing to do, and off the back of it kind of in that fearless phase after that kind of wears off a little bit, I sent my writing, so my personal writing, to David Hyatt, who runs it, just in the hope that something might happen, and in this whole sort of feeling of, you know, have a go at anything. And thankfully he liked it, and he employed me as a web editor for them for a little while. And again, that was really good experience because really I just learned a lot about how much we restrict ourselves every day with sort of negative thinking really, and it kind of helped me to not be restricted by my own doubts about what's possible. But then I moved on then. I was head of marketing at an agency called Sequence, which is quite a big web agency. We had, you know, a really good client base. We were all really busy. But I found I was sort of surrounded by really creative people, brilliant people really, that were kind of quite frustrated really, in the sense that obviously all our work had to be very much client facing. It had to be very practical. We all had to be like that every day, and I felt like we were just all a bit frustrated. We kind of all needed a bit of an outlet, a creative outlet. And this was a woman I admired from afar really. She's Tina Roth-Eisenberg, who started TM, and she's a designer. She's quite an inspirational character. She's very positive. She's a very strong woman, and I kind of looked up to her. So I thought it was a bit scary, thinking, oh, I'll just get in touch. But the whole do thing was in my head, and I was like, oh, have a crack. You know, what can she do? She'll just ignore you. And Cardiff, there's quite a few rules for Creative Mornings. So Cardiff came under the level that you need to be to sort of enter to be a chapter at that time. I don't know what it is now, but yeah, there weren't enough people here basically. So I was just like kind of fluffed over that bit, and I was like, yeah, but look at all these people. Look how amazing. We had to make a video and stuff, and sort of you have to convince them really that it's a cool city, which wasn't hard to do because it is. So yeah, I went for it. I was supported by I should probably say, my sales director, Paul Thomas, who's an awesome guy, and he supported me with it really. I also think it was really good for the agency because, as we all know, it's like brand affiliation and association. I just think it was really good for the agency at the time as well. So yeah, in terms of intentions for the chapter then, I think a massive one for me, aside from getting together and meeting those cool people and being inspired, was actually this idea that it was almost like an official professional association, which I think for our industry, I mean, correct me if I feel like it's quite a young industry and we're still finding our way a little bit. And in terms of creative, I know we do have them. We have certainly marketing associations and bodies and things, but more generally speaking, I'm not sure that there were any that really appealed to me. So I really liked that about this, and I think it kind of had that sort of reputation and scale to have us be taken quite seriously. you want to put the fan back on? Is everyone boiling?
Are you alive? You okay? They're alive.
Okay. So yeah, Tina's now looking to actually formalise this even more with her guild. She started this guild, which is like a list of people, creative guild, which is a list of professionals and a list of companies. And I just think, yeah, it formalises it, and which is only a good thing for us, really. So that really appealed to me as well. And I think working in marketing, I was feeling quite frustrated as well, because I think, again, marketing, especially in creative, can sometimes be, it's really hard to see the value sometimes in terms of clients, sometimes if they're not from the industry and they're like, well, social media, that's easy, I'll do that. And it's like, actually, you know, there's a bigger thing there and there's a bit more strategy, but it's kind of, yeah, it's good to get the word of that out there. And I think it all comes back to this whole monetizing creative thing, which I talk about all the time with lots of people, and it's always something that comes up as an issue. I think we have to work hard to sort of improve how our industry is perceived as professionals, and you know, what we do every day with John and Jane and branding. We kind of take somebody's baby, which is their business, and we kind of interpret the vision for it depending on what they want and what they tell us, and then you basically deliver it back to them, which is like the hardest thing in the world, isn't it? Because it's such a personal thing to them. I'm bigging myself up here. I don't mean like I'm doing the hardest job in the world, absolutely not. But it is a really tricky challenge, and it does take a lot of creativity, and it's something that's quite hard to define as well, because we all have our own ways of doing it, and there's not like this right way or wrong way quite yet. And I don't know if it might go a bit more that way, but yeah, I think it's an incredibly hard thing. It comes down to, I think, how good your process is, but also I think that's why this is essential. It's about creating a really respected community where we share our best practices and we kind of learn from each other and learn from each other's experiences. I think it's just really important. So yeah, anyway, we got the chapter, thankfully, and we kind of heard from a bunch of people. These are, I think, pretty much all of them from my time at least, but there's like so many more now, and they were incredible. I learnt something different from every single one of them, if not from their talk always, but very much from talking to them and learning from them. And just, that's the whole thing about this. You don't just have a talk, you chat either side of it, and you kind of get a real feel for people. And you kind of get, before I started TM, I was kind of, obviously I looked up to Swiss Miss, but I think that was pretty much the only person I had in my mind as like someone that when I was a bit older and what, like career-wise, I'd aim to be like. But the more people you meet and the more people you kind of get exposed to, I just got so many heroes now, and I almost find it really much easier to see, and it's just about being positive. And now people I see every single day at work, and I find everyone so inspiring. So just like hippie, that's the but I soon started to realise actually that it's much more than about just the speaker. Thankfully today, it's about collaboration more generally. I think definitely, and I found I started to be really on the lookout as a host, and I'm sure you're the same, Mel, where you're kind of always on the lookout for cool new businesses or new venues that have opened up that nobody quite knows about yet, or that could just really value getting loads of people through the doors and like getting a little bit of exposure on social media and stuff like that. So it's kind of bringing together all these like-minded businesses. Cold Town Coffee was one of the first people that we had helping out, and they were a really young company from Ammanford, and they used to literally get up at like 4 a.m, drive their van with the big coffee machine, lug it up the stairs, and then make us all coffee for absolutely nothing. And as much as it might be like, oh, as a business model, maybe that's a bit crazy, but they're doing really, really well, and I think it kind of stood them in really good stead for like, they're such a good group of people, such a good product, that if you do things, it's really tricky because it's this whole working for free thing, but it did give them a massive amount of exposure, and I think it's just brilliant seeing people thrive, really. But also artists like this Chessie Gordon Band. She's actually gone off to Pembrokeshire now to live a quiet life, but she's brilliant, and this was one of the things she did for us later, one of our venues, Abacus. But also like Steve Goldstone and Show Gallery. I think I saw yeah, just today. But just places that kind of generously gave us their space to use, and I just no doubt we wouldn't be here today if they hadn't done that. So yeah, some of the most fun stuff was definitely collaboration. This is one of the Abacus, is just kind of one that sticks out for me for some reason. We all kind of made a tile each, and we had a bit of a competition. it's like anything, we just shoehorn the competition in, give something away somewhere. But we all made up the logo. It just felt quite special, and it was a really fun day. And yeah, but we kind of used it a bit later on, but we'll come back onto that now. So after about a year, as Mal mentioned, they had their first summit, Creative Mornings. So I feel really rude, my back to it. I was just really invested in trying to build Cardiff CM at the time. And so I thought I'd head along and try and make a good impression, try and represent our city in some way, smile. And I went along. I wasn't sure what to expect by any stretch. But I headed over there, and I kind of arrived in the middle of the night, as you do over there. Oh, I say that. I've only been a couple of times to the US, but I arrived, I was hanging and shattered. I got up in the morning, didn't have a clue where I was going, didn't have a clue who I was going to see. And that's all right. And I felt really tired. I was trying to find a venue. I think they were having a venue where everyone was meeting, but I didn't know where I was going. And I was in this really rough part of Brooklyn. I don't even know if I knew I was in Brooklyn, but it was. And I was kind of starting to wonder if actually it was an incredibly bad mistake coming along. And so, you know, when you're kind of not quite somewhere, you're like, I don't have to go in. I'm not there yet. I could just go back and it'll be fine. Nobody will know. I was having a bit of a wobble. And I looked down this alley and I saw that, I think. And I was like, what the hell's that? And it just really has stuck with me. I was looking at all this, and it's onward, upward. I didn't really know what it was, but it's a huge car park, and basically wherever you walk around the car park, wherever you stand, you can see a different sentence or a different message, and all those messages are really beautiful and quite poetic, I suppose. And I just loved it, so I was kind of wandering around that for a bit, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. But weirdly, then I was due to go to the Creative Mornings in New York the morning after. And it turns out this was the guy that I was going to see. Again, I didn't realise that, but he was called Steve Powers. And he was brilliant, obviously. Quite a shy guy, but he was like talking about these projects where he kind of goes in and sort of fights with the local authorities and stuff to get messages up to try and improve sort of social cohesion and stuff. He's a fascinating guy, and he's done some wicked projects. And I just really loved that one. So it was a great trip, obviously, met lots of people and learned a lot from the hosts and Tina and the other team. I did have to find out to not be quite as British as I normally am, because obviously everyone was mega enthusiastic, and I was like, hi. No cynicism allowed, which is not my normal thing, you know. That's what we do, isn't it? We put things down to enjoy it. We're like, yeah, this is shit, innit? You're having a great time. So I couldn't do that because I was on my own. There was nobody to say it to. But so I got involved. So I think it was good. But the main lesson I kind of learned from that whole trip and talking to other hosts was that I actually had to completely let go of my initial intentions for CM, because I'd this idea what it was going to be, as we all do when we start a project. And I just had to let go of all that and think, actually, open it up to anyone or everyone, obviously not anyone, but whoever wants to be involved, and see where it goes. And sort of share it out a little bit. And then Steve Dimmick introduced me to you, Mal, and pretty much the rest is history, as they say, in a good way. Before I talk a little bit more about the team, I should probably mention the first ever member, who is Neve, Mini Moz, as everyone used to call her. This is the first ever Creative Mornings in Founders Hub, sadly, which is gone now. But we were literally just hoping somebody was going to come. Anyone come on, please. Just praying someone would come in. And thankfully they did. And she was just there from the very beginning. And you know what kids like, they're just so open to things. So she was like, this would be really cool, this would be really cool. And I was like, some of them I was like, oh. And some other things I was like, yeah, that really would be cool. So a lot of it is from her. So she's always helping out. Always sticking something up or making bad coffee for people that they had to drink then to be nice or whatever. But making tokens, taking the piss out of everybody, and mostly always helpful. And I thought it might be quite nice to just say I know full well that Neve's intentions at the moment are to marry her dogs and to be an air traffic controller. And we will all do our best to support with the second, but obviously the first, it's chats to have and stuff. But so we'll see. But you'll meet them, Neves. So this is one of the earlier lineups, and I think that I would sort of name everyone, but I got quite a few like this. But yeah, these are the sort of original lineup. That was Paul Thomas, who helped me get started in the first place. He's an absolute dude. But I think, to be honest, like anyone that's here or spoken about it or tweeted about it or like helped spread the word, that I don't know how far that goes, if at all, but everyone is part of it, and I think that's what's helped build the community as it is now. This was Helen, Mel, obviously, and Jenny. We all worked really hard, doing what we could, really, just tweeting. If anyone you want not talk to anyone, tweeting, trying to get word out and trying to invite people.
There's no stories.
No, that's true. Everything's changed a bit. Yeah, constantly tweeting. I thought I was tweeting. No, you're not. I think it's fair to say that we weren't always perfect. We were learning along the way. My management style was probably, it's fair to say, a little bit last minute, in a nice way. But to be honest, that's what I really enjoyed about it. I really enjoyed the sort of happenstance and fate involved in running something like this, because there is no money involved. So I think it's a really good opportunity to experiment with stuff, because like, what's the worst going to happen? Well, saying that, it's quite stressful on the day, isn't it? But like, because you kind of commit to a free drink, and that sounds really easy, but actually when there's quite a few people, it can. But yeah, it's a good opportunity to experiment, and I love the way creative minds work, and I love if you kind of give people the freedom to come up with ideas. I think you can kind of sideline things too early. You miss full potential of what could happen, even if it's like last minute, really. So Gareth joined the team. Couldn't tell you when this is. As I say, dates are not my strong point, but a little while later, Gareth joined the team. This was a day out in the valleys. I don't know where we were. Where were we?
For Lee John Phillips
Mm.
exhibition.
It was very. I could never find it again. It was the shed project where he.
He's drawing every single item
Yeah.
of his granddad's shed item.
Yeah, and he was a speaker actually, and he was one of the most nervous we've ever had, and he was absolutely fantastic. And that was just felt like quite a special day to me, to be honest. The team was growing, and we all just really believed in him. We all it just a beautiful day. So it kept growing again. Luke Stanton over there started taking photos. Hear more about him in a minute as well. And yeah, but what I really love about Creative Mornings is the fact that there's just no option of making any money or paying anybody, which might sound really crap actually, but it's really cool for me because numbers again is not my strong point, but also it just keeps things really, really simple, and all the people that are involved are very much involved for arguably the right reason, which is just that they love creative and they love creating and they love they want to open it up to everybody. So that's what I love about it most, really. And we grew, and we grew. Yeah, in the end, I suppose, like everything sort of comes to an end, I suppose, in the end. And the reason I sort of packed up all my crap and gave it to Mel, she was probably like, I don't want any of this. This is rubbish. But it's all a bit crap, isn't it? But I found I was just sort of spreading myself a little bit too thinly, and I think on the days I was meeting loads of people, and I like, so many faces are familiar in here, but I never got a chance to talk to anybody really, so because I was like faffing about. So I just kind of wanted to start meeting those people, and I was really inspired every single month by somebody new to do something, but I had absolutely no time to do it in, because I was working as well. So yeah, so also the dream list I had in my head when I first started, I was like, oh, that'd be cool, that'd be cool. And I wasn't running out. I'm sure I could have thought of some more, but I felt like it was all kind of getting a little bit samey, and that's where you kind of need a bit of a new perspective on things. And that's the whole idea of Creative Mornings. It's not about the host, it's about all of you guys, to be honest. So yeah, and also there's lots of rules that come with it. Creative Mornings guidelines rules, which I started to feel were very helpful at the beginning, but actually in the end were a little bit restrictive. Like I always used to say, running anything in Wales, first thing in the morning for a start, oh my God, and then not even be able to have a beer. Like in Wales, that's a massive thing, and if I could just offer everyone a beer, which is not appropriate, I have to say, and I appreciate that, but it just would have been so much easier. So I was just like dying to have something in the evening, which I know you probably could do, but it's Creative Morning, doesn't work. So yes, Christmas then booze in the morning, obviously. So great picture by Callum here, absolutely fantastic. That was my last day. as it were. So yeah, then I handed over to Mel. She worked with me really, really closely from the beginning. As I said, she was very enthusiastic. She moved over from Turkey, and I just had a lot of respect for how you kind of, you had a difficult sort of transition anyway. It wasn't exactly a planned move, but I loved the fact that you just came to this country and you were open. You were very open about what you loved and what you wanted to do. She was very honest and challenged me from the very beginning, which I actually found really helpful. And she's put a heck of a lot of time and work invested really in understanding our British ways and eccentricities, and we've had a lot of conversations about it, and you're like, why do people do this? And I'm like, we just do. Like, it's
so difficult.
Yeah, I know, and I appreciate that. We really are. We're funny lot. But there's so many. But I'm sure if we were in Turkey, you'd be the same, and you'd be like,
no,
you know.
We don't have
It's the subtleties, isn't it, that just drive you crackers. Which I know. I find that fascinating. But also I hope I've helped you a little bit. I don't know if I have. I'm not sure I'm very representative. But she really totally and utterly believed in what we were doing, and she totally immersed herself in the community, and even more so now. And I've got a heck of a lot of time for that. I recommended that she take over the chapter, and of course HQ snapped her up as they would, and she's doing a fantastic job. She's taking from strength to strength. I knew she would, no surprises. So back to this time, back to this. So around that time actually, sort of thinking, I'm putting all this time, it's great. I mean, I kind of really well connected, knew lots of people, and I was thinking, this is going brill. That's great. And at that point, I don't know, everything I'd worked for with CreativeMornings, obviously since I graduated, when Eve was a little baby, I studied at home thinking, yeah, this is going to get me somewhere someday. I didn't quite know where I was going to get or what I was sort of working towards, but I knew what I loved, and which is like writing and creative, so I just carried on. And in the end, I ended up getting actually my dream role at the time, and I was so chuffed, and I thought, everything's worth it. But again, British in me then, something's going to happen now, isn't it? And of course it did. And I know that these are kind of all first world problems, and I know as well that like all of us have to struggle, we sort of struggle with various bits and pieces in this triangle from time to time. There's never going to be a time where everything is perfect and in line, I don't think, but at that point everything kind of started falling apart, to be honest. So I was facing sort of separation and divorce at the time, sort of scary health issues were on the cards. My dream job turned out to be absolutely not a dream job. All my money was stolen through online fraud. I'm just going to list them because it's just boring. I had to leave my house, obviously, and it pretty much just like fell apart completely, which happens in life, I know. But my confidence in myself, my work, pretty much was on the floor, left the building, as it were. And when everything changes at once, I think it is really, really hard to remember who you are, and sort of essentially, and it's hard making decisions that you never intended, yet alone sort of expected to have to make in your life. Making unpopular decisions is really hard as well, as we all know, I'm sure. It makes you question everything and everyone, including yourself. It can make other people you know really, really well, I think, sort of behave really strangely. Because of course your struggle can be their struggle in a different way, and it's a ripple effect, not such a good ripple as that, but a bad one. Sometimes it feels like, I think, in life it can be hard, and it can feel like things are a bit unsalvageable, to be honest, and you kind of lose yourself a little bit. But I think it's important to remember we are still in there somewhere, and to be honest, it did feel a little bit like this most days. Poor child. Poor kid. Honest to God, it's horrible. I'm a bad person. So despite feeling like at times there's just nowhere to turn, I think, we all have these moments, I got sorry, it'll be gone now. Kind of got over myself and tried to reach up and to reach out, really. I know, I'm so sorry. I will now. I'm leading this one. The alternative, I think, is heading downwards and inwards, actually, and that's far too scary to do, I think. And thankfully and eventually I did, and I found someone who saw me for who I always will be, and always who I've always been, and who I always will be going forward, no matter what happens in my life, really. And someone who would always take my call, no matter what state I was in, or how annoying I was being, or how repetitive I was being. And that is my little brother, Liam. Admittedly, not so little anymore. Actually, not little. And actually, he was never intended to be my brother. He was a brother from another mother. Dying to say that. And a brother from another father. So actually, not my brother at all, but you're my stepbrother. Which is all that matters to me. And you are absolutely my brother, as far as I'm concerned. I met him when he was in nappies, and he was so cute and tiny. And I always intended to look after him. Probably annoyed the crap out of him, just always misering him. But I always loved him. And it turns out it all comes back in the end. So now he's an absolutely fearless creative person. He's formally trained in law and accounting. And despite that, he's like, no, I want to work in the creative industry. And he's actually got his own business now doing sketchnoting. And you're following your wants and your dreams, and you're trying really openly and really bravely to figure out what they are. And that's so inspiring to me, and I love you for that. And you've always believed in me, you've always encouraged me, and right from the start of Creative Mornings. Whereas like you have doubters, you're like, why the hell are you doing that? There's no money in it. What are you doing? You support it from the start. I'm very grateful. So it was a very strange time then, and I was actually working with Gareth Strange at the time. I can't think of anything funny to say about that, but your name is, and we were kind of thinking, reflecting on the sort of past with CM and how far we've come, and all the speakers and how brilliant they all were. And we decided to make a newspaper one day, didn't we? And collaborate and get together all the sort of content, because we felt we had a bunch of really amazing content from all these people that contributed, but not in any kind of official way. So we made this paper and tried to chuck some of it in. We got some beers and designed and wrote it all just like in one weekend, and it was so much fun to do, and so much fun to work together, and it really just helped me have a little peek at like getting a little bit of confidence back and thinking actually work can be really fun if it's the right work, and if you like put your heart into it and you're doing it with people that you really believe in and admire. So that was great. So it was here, and this was Neve's page again. Sorry, Neve. And that was when John and Jane really became a bit of an idea, really. And we were like, oh, that was really fun. And we were working on other projects as well, and Creative Mornings, obviously. So we kind of had a good insight in how it is to work together, and we didn't annoy each other too much. And I felt like we had a really good sort of mix of skills, because he's an incredible graphic designer, very, very perceptive, very loves branding, lives and breathes it. And I'm sort of more the writing side and the strategy side, and it kind of just fitted together really well. So Gareth, John, and Sarah Jane, hence the name. So yeah, we went ahead and we went for it. We were sort of just frustrated, really. We wanted to do good work and just focus on the work rather than all this crap that was going on around this. And honest to God, how cute is that picture? I can't handle that. This is Callum and our dog Philly. I say ours, Callum is yours as well. And Callum's our junior designer. We snapped him up last year before he even had a chance to graduate. Bless him. He was like, no choice about that. He's fantastic at what he does. He's literally become part of the family. Sorry about that, Neve. Cal, not Neve, not Cal. And his typography knowledge is absolutely ridiculous. And I partially like OCD, but it's great. It's so good. And he's teaching us a lot, to be honest. So in the first year, we worked really hard to figure out what we were and what we were doing, and make it, we weren't confident about a lot of things in our life, but we were really, really confident in what we wanted to create and build and work on. So we kind of had our workshop, as you do, and figure out what we wanted to be. And these were our kind of key things, really, that we always try and come back to, which are really useful when we're working every day. And we genuinely think we are trying to challenge ourselves. We never want to do work for a client that they kind of expect or bores them. We want them to feel our passion as much as we feel theirs, really. We believe in the power of branding wholeheartedly, and I just think especially these days it kind of makes and breaks your business. And we made a little film actually that Luke helped us put together. So if you don't mind, I'll just share it. It's under a minute, so I'll share it there. What do I do? I have to wait for the dog, but if in doubt, add the dog, isn't it? Yeah, so this is some of our work as well that we've been working on the last year, 2 years really, nearly coming up. We're constantly trying to push each other and ourselves, and to be honest, unless we really love every element of a project, we try not to let it go out, and I don't know, we're quite harsh with each other, but always very, very supportive, I think. And I think we have that real confidence, so not in ourselves necessarily, but I know as a team, we will, like if something isn't quite there, I think give it a little bit of time, and we just know someone will come back with something. And between us, I just think we're really confident in that. We're just passionate about it, and new ideas really. We're all kind of thinking, I think we're all kind of starting to think about our legacy with the company, and like we just want to do what we really believe in, and we're 100%. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I really don't, but I think that going forward, we're all going to be 100% in it. I know that much for ourselves and for the clients too, really. And when we're not, I'm sure that won't be the time to do it anymore. But we can't see it sort of ebbing out. But one thing is for sure, I think that we'll always be building something on that triangle that's totally stuck in my head. And I'm sure that I'll never have, as I said earlier, this sort of perfect triangle, but it'll always be a mix. And Stephen Goldstone made these badges for one of the events, and I found it when I was looking for bits and pieces for the talk, and I just thought it says it all really. Sometimes it's going to be absolutely shit, sometimes it's going to be fun, sometimes it's going to be a bit confusing, and that's kind of life for you really. And if I can offer any advice, which I'm really not sure I am, again, qualified to do, but I would say that I think it's important to just try and make sure that as much as possible that you choose a life that reflects your natural talents, because it's just so much easier, obviously, and your personality and what you honestly need in your life, because I think good intentions can only really take you so far. You only have so much self-control and energy, and you can only really ask so much from yourself in one day. And I think that if you wake up with your head full of all those intentions, like I do, hopefully I'm not alone in that, we put so much pressure on ourselves to do the right thing. And I think, unfortunately for us all, because it's much more difficult, we've got to figure out what the right thing is for us. And yeah, maybe sometimes making unpopular decisions isn't easy, but it's probably better for everybody in the long run. And in terms of my intentions going forward, I'm going to try my best to keep them simple and try and do good work. And I think that's all we can really do. So thanks very much for your time.